Hello everyone, and welcome to the review of the new ENGWE Engine PRO 2.0. And this is probably the pinnacle of ENGWE engineering until now, as this bike, although looks exactly like the older Engine Pro, is a totally different e-bike. So we are going to jump directly into the details, and I'm going to explain you why this is a totally different bike. Starting from the beginning, the frame looks similar, but it's totally re-engineered. The frame is now a lot more stronger, more resistant, and has re-engineered welds, metals, and here in this area there have been made some changes with an extra arm, more exactly this part here, actually not an arm but a bracket, which now has a different shape and will take the stress from this area through all of this and make the whole part here stronger. Also, the next step was to re-engineer the rear suspension. Now the rear suspension is much more effective, it's working much more better, it's much more softer, and it flexes a lot. It has a lot of travel, so it takes all the bumps out in a very good way. Inside the folding frame we have a new design battery. Now we no longer get a 48 volt battery like most of the powerful ENGWE bikes, but now we get a 52 volt battery, which I'm going to show you right away. And that's the new battery. And the new battery not only has 52 volts nominal voltage, but it also has 16 amp hour capacity, which translates together with the voltage to 832 watt hour capacity, which is again a novelty for ENGWE, making it one of the biggest batteries. Of course, there is the X battery, the large one, the 19 point something amps, which is again huge. But on the Engine Pro, this is the first, this is the biggest battery until now. And the 52 volts will give the new motor a lot more power, because they also changed the motor on this bike. We now get a very powerful 65 Newton meter planetary geared motor with one-way clutch. This has no rolling resistance when it's not powered, so it's going to coast with no drag, but it has a multiplier internal gear set that increases the torque of the motor, especially under high load. Also, if you are not particular with this model, then I must say a few words about it. So it's a foldable e-bike, as you have seen. It has full suspension. The front suspension is lockable and adjustable. It comes pre-equipped with all the accessories that you see. So you get front and rear full metal mudguards. You get this very solid rear rack. You get side wheel refractors, which are mandatory in some European countries. You get a rear tail lamp that also works as a brake lamp, and a front LED headlamp with a white refractor, which is also mandatory in some European countries. And it has the new headlamp, which has a beam cutout. As you can see, it makes a straight line, it doesn't make a halo. This is very good because it's not going to blind pedestrians, other bikes, or even cars. This is going to shine bright and will make a spot of light downward, so you can see where you are riding, but it's not going to put that halo up, so it's going to blind the incoming traffic. Further on, the handlebar is also foldable and it also extendable. You can put this to be really high, so this bike will suit you even if you are a very tall person. The only limit would be the seat stem if you want to very high. This is not super long, but it is enough for most people. But it's a normal bike stem. And here is another nice thing: it has a nylon insert, so when you are adjusting the seat post, it's not going to get scratched, which is a thing that I like very much on bikes that have that. Another interesting thing about this bike, it comes in full European accordance. So it comes with a throttle here that only works up to 5 kilometers per hour, and it's only assisted, and it has 5 assist modes here, and on the 5th assist mode it's only going to help you up to 25 kilometers per hour. Then again, telling you that this is a whole redesigned bike. The new Engine Pro 2.0 no longer has a cadence sensor, so it no longer reads if you are spinning the pedal, but it actually has a torque sensor, so it measures the force that you are putting on the pedals, and in accordance with that and with the chosen assist level, it's going to use the motor to help you. As much as you push, as much motor strength you are going to get multiplied with the assisted program. But you should not be sad about the accelerator working only up to 5 kilometers per hour and only to be limited to 25 kilometers per hour, because this Engine Pro 2.0 also supports the Black Voodoo magic. So you can actually unlock it and get a lot more speed, and it would be a pity not to get all of that out of this bike, having one of the most powerful motors that ENGWE put on their bikes until now, and all that torque is sitting there waiting for you to ride faster than the law permits, so you get a fine or the bike taken by the police. So to do that, it's your choice, and I'm going to teach you how to do it in another video somewhere here, which I'm going to put very soon, or it's already on my channel. Other things worth mentioning are the brakes, which are full hydraulic, and the new Chaoyang tires, which look exactly like the old Chaoyang tires, but now they are moped rated, which makes them a lot more safer for higher abuse, higher speeds, and so on. They are now more resistant and probably more balanced than they were before. Also, a nice detail here, so you get a new motor connector which has a nut that you can untwist, and then you are going to be able to pull the motor wire. This makes it very easy to change the rear tire to disconnect the motor, and also the connector now holds a lot more better, and it's easier to plug and unplug having that design. And now it's time to ride the bike to see how this works, and also to assess its performance better. I will tell you that I weigh around 100 kilograms and my backpack here today has about 3 kilograms. So keep that in mind when I'm referring it to how well it goes uphill, how fast it accelerates and so on, and how well it brakes with that load on it. So let's hop on. It is in assisted mode, and I have did also the Black Voodoo magic on it. It's now unlocked, so being unlocked I should get a lot more performance out of it. First thing that you are going to notice, this is very rough terrain here. As you can see, the earth is cracked from not raining a lot of time, so it's very bumpy, and there are some ditches here, but I could start the bike right away because the torque sensor has 0 delay. So when you press the pedal, the bike will simply start without needing you to actually pedal a few times for it to pick up your cadence, so to assist you. So even in the first assisted mode, if you press the pedal harder, you get more torque from the motor proportionally to your effort, and you can tackle this terrain like being nothing. The motor is incredibly strong on this bike. I can tell you from the start, it feels somehow that the assisted level 1 is already overpowerful, and on the level 2 the bike simply jumps from under you. Again, this is also unlocked, but now having up to 5 levels here makes this really impressive, and it has incredible acceleration. And the brakes, the hydraulic brakes, you know them from other ENGWE models, they are very, very powerful. You can lock the wheels at any moment, so you can crash at any moment. I'm joking, you should be careful with the brakes, especially if you are going to hydraulics from normal cable ones, because the hydraulics works much more easy. So if you are tempted to pull the lever very hard, you are going to lock the wheels and you are going to fall. Other than that, I do like a thing on the hydraulics on the ENGWE, which I have told you also in some other reviews of ENGWE bikes. They are very progressive, because I've rode some bikes that have hydraulic brakes and they are not progressive. They simply do not work for a period of their interval where you press the lever and they do nothing, and then all of a sudden they lock the wheel. They simply become too powerful. Well, this doesn't happen with ENGWE. They are progressive, so you can feel them working as you pull the lever more or less. They are progressive and they give you very good comfort. Also, a thing I like very much, having a torque sensor and not a cadence sensor. You can ride the bike now regardless of the assisted mode at any speed. So now I'm in assisted 5 and the bike should do 45-50 kilometers per hour because it's assisted to full power and it's unlocked. But if I don't pedal fast, a torque sensor will not introduce you with ghost pedaling like it happens on other bikes with, and even ENGWE bikes with cadence sensor. So you don't have to change the gear, you don't have to do anything. If you want to just ride very slow and relaxing, you don't have to do anything else. Just pedal as slow as you want and the bike will do the rest for you because it's a lot more smarter. But if you want speed or acceleration, you have all of that right away, instantly, because again, not being a cadence sensor, this doesn't have any delay. You press the pedal, the motor works, just like that. Simple yet effective. And I was telling you about the motor, that is a geared motor with one-way clutch. The advantage is that, for instance, now I'm going downhill, the motor doesn't have regenerative braking, but it's not slowing me down, and if I don't brake, I get some serious speed, and then I can keep the speed for a long period of time because the bike will just coast, and it will coast and coast and coast and roll on without using any kind of power. And that actually translates into very good efficiency, which also translates into longer range from the same battery with the same motor, with the same power, because I'm not using anything. So now practically the battery is driving the LCD to show the information here, but I'm not using any power, and you can see that I'm still going and the speed is constant there. There is a very slight incline, so I'm going slightly downhill, but the incline is very small. This one just coasts and coasts, and look at that, I'm not using anything. So that's the advantage of having this kind of motor in this bike. So it has very good torque and it has no drag, so you can go as much as you want without pedaling. Now let's test the gearing, the gear range. So the bike has 8 speeds with a quick shifter. So I'm going to go to assist 0, and I'm in first gear, and I can start the bike very easy. I'm not putting much effort into riding it, and I'm doing already 10 kilometers per hour. So I can even go to second gear. In second gear I start to feel some resistance because the bike is a bit heavy. It has 32 kilograms, something like that, which is not a lot for a bike that has such a powerful motor and such a big battery, because the battery weighs a ton. Well, on this bike they managed somehow to keep the weight down, even though it has impressive features and specifications. So I'm doing 12 and it's okay, and I'm on third gear now and I'm getting some speed, 15 kilometers per hour. I'm in fourth gear, 17. One more gear, so I'm doing 20, and I'm not using any kind of battery right now. It's just I'm just powered by my legs, and I'm not in a good shape when it comes to biking under my own power. So pretty good gearing, and the gearing definitely should be related to the speed. So the bike comes limited to 25 kilometers per hour, and I still have gears 6, 7 and 8, which if I'm on 8th gear I can barely pedal. I need to step up onto the pedals to be able to ride this. So I'm putting way too much effort, but that should come in handy if I go to higher speeds, such as assisted 5 mode. And look at that, So even in top gear, this thing really rips. So I'm doing already 40. So that was 45 in a matter of moments without changing gears. So the boost power of this, the peak power of the motor is huge, and that torque really feels nice. And I can pedal up to 45 kilometers per hour without pedaling too fast. So I can keep a very good cadence at high speed. So the gearing is perfect for this bike. So you get low range. It's so low that you can actually pedal the bike under your own power. And it's high enough that you can ride this at top power and top speed, which is very good because sometimes the gearing is either too low or either too high or too close gears, and you kind of get a compromise out of that. It's not the case here. You get the full range and you can exploit the bike as fast or as slow as you want, which is perfect. Now with the bike unlock, let's also test the throttle. So it doesn't matter in which assist mode you are. I'm on 5th, and wow, the throttle also activates probably the most power from the motor, and it's a real pleasure to ride it when you have removed the annoying limit and you just feel it accelerating. This is superb. This is superb. And the upgraded suspension is also amazing. When you are doing unlocking of the bike will use a lot more power, and the current that is needed for those powerful acceleration is huge. So on long term, you are going to discharge the battery way too fast. You are going to have very short range, and you are going to put a lot more use on the battery, which is going to translate in a shorter life, more heat, and possible problems. So this unlocking has its own bad side effects if you abuse it too much. But we are testing it now unlocked so that you can see the full potential of this bike. And that is a lot of potential. Those accelerations are simply amazing, and I like the fact that I don't have to change anything. So I'm on 8th gear, I'm on 5th assisted level here, and now I'm super chill and I don't want any more speed, and I just want to ride slow and relax. And I can do that without changing anything, without changing the assisting mode, without changing the gears. The bike will simply adjust the way it runs on my legs, which is actually improving your riding quality. You feel more relaxed, you worry less about changing gears, and between changing gears when going uphill or changing assisted modes, no longer needed. And I'm not chill anymore. And now I'm chill again. So this now is probably one of the most powerful ENGWE bikes. This together with the L20 Boost and also the X series, at least my X24 is also kind of crazy, because on the limited sport mode on that bike, it uses up to about 1500 watts of peak power, which is impressive, and that one is also very fast. But this acceleration on this I think it's probably the best between all of them. Actually, the boost might be even more powerful when you use the boost version on the L20. Right, now we are going to do a hill climb test. There is a ramp here. It's pretty steep. On the camera it's going to look rather flat because that's how my GoPro deforms the video. Nonetheless, if the bike has 250 watts, it's not going to make it up to the top. Only if it has gears and you are going to help it, assisted, or it has a hub that has internal gears. Only those will make it there, and they are going to do it very slow. Now I'm in assisted 5. I'm going to go in lowest first gear, and I'm on first gear. So assisted 1 with first gear here. I have no problem starting to ride uphill and even accelerating. I'm not putting a lot of effort. It's rather pleasant. Now I'm slowing down, so I'm going to go in level 2, get better. Level 3, I have more power. Level 4, the bike is starting to pull uphill. Level 5, the bike is waiting for me to pedal faster and I need to change gears. And look at that. And the bike is accelerating continuously. And now we are going to repeat the test, starting directly with the highest assisted mode, and we are only going to play with the mechanical gears. So the bike on the highest assistance is impressive. It doesn't slow when you are going uphill, it actually accelerates uphill. So let's test that again. I'm going to start from the same spot here, exactly from where the ramp starts. So I'm going to be stand still, 5th assisted mode. I'm on gear 6. I'm not going to bother with the gear, so the torque sensor has picked up my legs right away. And look at that, I can even change gears again. So no problem going uphill. This simply is impressive. And I'm going to repeat a test one more time. This time I'm going to use throttle only to see how much power it gets on its own. So let's get down again. On the same spot here, right, stand still, assisted 5, but I'm not going to pedal. Actually, I'm going to put it on 1, for instance, if I touch the pedal by mistake. And let's accelerate it with the throttle. It starts right away. And it's accelerating, so I'm not helping it. And it's doing pretty good job already. 23. 24, 25, 26, 30. So it did accelerate a bit weaker than using my legs to help it, but still impressive, because as I've told you, most normal regular 250 watts bikes will not go that hill unless they have some really smart motors that boost the torque. Otherwise, most of them struggle something like 8 kilometers per hour. You need to pedal them, or I don't know, just get off it and push it. So this does a very good job at climbing any kind of hills. But to see much more performance of this bike, we should put it to some real tests. So I'm going to do a bit of combination of off-road and with a very steep hill climb. That hill that I'm going to go on is so steep that on most bikes the rear wheel will slip. You are not going to be able to climb it, or you might just do it if you go oblique on it. So I'm going to try to tackle it straight up ahead. So I'm in assisted 5 mode and I'm on 3rd gear, and this is crazy. This is crazy because I've made it not even on lowest gear, I made it on 3rd gear. So the torque on this is just insane. It's just insane. And the braking on this one, being so good in control, makes it very, very safe when you are going downhill, because you can keep the brake up to the moment where you get the highest traction, but you don't lock the wheel. So it's perfect that way. It's just the way it should be. Pretty impressive until now. I actually enjoy this a lot. It's a huge difference from the normal Engine Pro. Can already tell you that the torque sensor is amazing and the motor power is great. The Engine Pro had a version of a normal hub motor, so it doesn't have the one-way clutch, but it has had regenerative braking, which was also nice. But that motor was weaker in torque in comparison with the other ones, with the ones that don't have regenerative braking, but they have the one-way clutch. So yeah, it's a trade-off that I will always choose. I will not want regenerative braking as long as I get a motor that has so much torque as this one. Another thing that has vastly improved is the suspension, especially the rear suspension. And I'm going to talk with you frankly. The Engine Pro, the normal version of the Engine Pro, had the issue at some time. It came with the bolts that are holding the suspension arm that were too short, and when you are tighten them up so they don't get loose while you ride, you are locking the suspension. So the rear suspension was not acting very nice because it was held by those bolts too tight. While on this, ENGWE has redesigned those bolts also, and now that arm really flexes out and gives you full ride, full travel of the suspension. So it gives you a very soft, very pleasant ride. So now going off-road with this really makes it very pleasant. Of course, as they specify, you should not abuse this bike. Although you can tackle some rougher roads, this is not a mountain bike that you are going to do downhill from 2,000-meter high peaks through the forest, jumping on ramps, because you are going to kill itself, let's be honest. But now this bike on normal rough roads such as this, it does an amazing job. Absolutely amazing job. Oh, and I remember this place. I did hear some review some time ago, but they were not throwing trash outside, leaving it there. Too bad. Right, so the suspension on this, absolutely fabulous improvement over the older model. It makes you want to go over bumps. Front suspension works nice, rear suspension is superb. Front suspension is also adjustable, so you can tune it for your own use. And also, if you don't want suspension in the city or going uphill, so make the bike more efficient, you can lock it. Sadly, the rear suspension doesn't have any adjustment or any locking options, so it's there to flex around as much as it wants to. And that was the test run, and now you can see how this bike performs. As you've seen, it's impressive and I'm astounded by it. The motor has huge amount of power, and everything works right. There is a thing that I have also observed, and I didn't tell you in the video. The bike is completely silent. Of course, not the tires, but overall, there is no more humming noise from the mudguards. There is no rattle from the battery. There are no squeaky brakes. So no noise that shouldn't be there. It's not there. You get the idea. This is much better put together. So it does has a better check quality when it leaves the factory. So it's assembled very nice. As for the pros and cons, the pros are a lot. The motor is great, gearing is great, the control is great. It's awesome that you can still unlock it. You have throttle working, you have great brakes, you have very good working rear suspension. So I cannot fault it, but I do have the motto of putting some cons because there is no perfect product. And the first con that I will give to this bike is the seat post, because I would have loved it to be a bit longer. For me it's okay, but for taller people you are going to reach here the minimum insert, and that's not safe. So a longer seat post, because you have a lot of space here to put a longer one, a longer seat post would have been better. Also, not a con, because there are a lot of improvements on the suspension, but let's say it, a feature that I would request for future models for the ENGWE Engine PRO 3.0, I would love to have an adjustable shock absorber. Of course, you can buy your own and change it. It's not a big deal, but it would be really smart to have that. So if this comes adjustable in the front, it would be awesome to have it adjustable on the rear as well. Also, I must mention that even on assisted level 1, the bike is very powerful and assists you pretty good. So if you are in a low gear, you are going to pedal very easy, and the motor, it's extremely powerful, so it's going to be like a rocket jumping from underneath you. Good thing is that this being a torque sensor version, it no longer goes pedals, so it's no longer going to be faster than you are actually pedaling. That's a great thing and a huge improvement. And the last con, actually a con, you see this rubber plastic cap that covers this. It's the same one as on the other side, which is no longer there as well, and as well as this rubber cap. I haven't lost them yet, but they were barely hanging out before I was getting out to test the bike. So I took them off, and what I do with them, I use some special glue that it's not super glue, because super glue destroys them and makes them impossible to remove. It's a universal glue, it's a yellow thing type, I don't know how to say it, and surely you are not going to get it by my description because it's yellow. Anyway, that kind of remains a bit rubbery, a bit soft, and that doesn't attack plastic, rubber, anything, and you are going to be able to still pull out the caps when you are needing them to. But I didn't have time to put the glue on them and put them back, so I took them out before this test ride. So the con is that they do not sit by themselves without glue. So that was it for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this review. I will stop it here. I could have told you more about this bike, but the weather outside is horrible. It's only 12 o'clock and it's already 38 degrees centigrade at the shadow. In the sun, you cannot stay anymore. It's horrible. So the bike is great. You can see more about this. I'm going to put more videos about it, how to do the black voodoo magic, how to unlock it. I'm going to add also some ride videos in the city with it, so you can see how it performs in normal, not testing condition, ride it into traffic, streets and so on, and I highly advise you also to watch that. So until my next video, see you and bye bye.